and welcome back to Collecting Now. This week it looks as if I'm going to be a magician's guinea pig. But while I'm still in one piece, let's start with a superb collection of steam locomotives from the Great Western Society. What was once considered scrap is today loved and cared for by men determined to keep alive the great era of railway engineering, as Ray Gosling reports.
There's many an elephant's graveyard in our land for steam locomotives. But there's only one Great Western. GWR, God's Wonderful Railway. It was until a bunch of bureaucrats brought steam to its final demise. And the last loco commission, they called her the Evening Star. The Titfield thunderbolt spirit in the heart of every true Briton fought back. All over the country, the faithful few have grown into an army to fight for the salvation of steam. And a great victory was won at Didcot, when the Great Western Society set up their charitable trust. On a good bank holiday, thousands come to see the show that should have closed in January 1948.
It's just a few minutes before midnight, and very soon the signalman here will signal in the last Great Western Railway train to pass through Reading. It's very appropriate that we should be seeing this great transfer of ownership, probably one of the greatest the world has ever known, from a Great Western signal box. Because many of you will remember that when and it is a tremendous thing that that last steam locomotive should be built here in these great works at Swindon.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now unveil this locomotive and christen it the Evening Star.
The Society was formed in 1961, and today, among its 4,000 members, a new generation, reared on Space Invaders and pocket calculators, still keeps the faith burning brightly. One of the pioneers of the revival at Didcot was Frank Banyan.
Well, I'm sure it does go back to my 5th birthday when I was given an O-gauge model of a Great Western train. That first highlighted the Great Western in my eyes. The engines with their copper chimneys and their brass safety valves, and I think the splendid appearance that they normally had if they were on the express trains. When it became obvious in the early 60s that steam locomotives were going to disappear, a group of schoolboys who lived in the Southall area were familiar with the little tank engines and the auto coach, which used to run about as a set, and decided that if nothing else, they would try to preserve one of these. And the Great Western Society was formed.
And they didn't stop there. Having found themselves with one full-sized train set, they soon wanted more. More engines and bigger engines. Castles, manors, halls, small prairies, large prairies, all saved from a fate as scrap. These should have been safety razors or Ford Fiesta cars by now, but here they are, cosseted by the Society, with a turntable big enough to turn the prize. The Druthlewin Castle in its original Brunswick green. There's no shortage of spectators ready to buy a ticket and capture every rivet on film. And their admission fees help pay the Society's coal bill. Here they do in the daytime what used to be done at night. Day mail from Didcot. Were there real letters in those bags? To pick up anything really heavy, there's a steam crane parked on the Society's tracks, but owned by one of the members. Gordon Thompson.
Well, my interest in steam cranes really stems from when, as a child, I used to watch one in a local foundry, and it used to absolutely fascinate me. It was the same type that you see here now, but I never did buck up the courage to go and ask them could I have a proper look at it. However, my interest did remain, and then I heard about this particular steam crane, which was a firm of plywood manufacturers. The gentleman who took me to see the crane suggested that I write to the firm's board and make them an offer for it. So the offer I made was for 28 tons of scrap material, and they said yes, they would accept my offer and invoice me for the crane straight away. Now that the restoration is virtually complete, it is good to see the machine used for basically what it was intended for. Very, very few industrial steam cranes exist at all.
It's not all steam. The Society's expanding into the small stuff of bureaucracy. Fred Gray.
This is a general Great Western office scene, and I am completely surrounded by all those items which went to make up all the necessary articles to run an office. And for instance, we have ink pots, and rather interestingly, this one is marked Go Great Western and would have been used as a sort of giveaway item, like people give away ballpoint pens and various key tags and what have you. This enabled the Great Western to extend their publicity, and they were very economy-minded, even to the extent of when issuing typewriter ribbons in these very nice little tins, they were marked, return to the stationery department, Paddington. Immediately it is empty.
And as a servant of the Great Western Company, you'd be expected to wear a buttonhole on duty. Brunel sets certain standards on his railway, and the Society at least intends to keep them at weekends.
I think Brunel was one of the greatest engineers that the country has produced, and some of the things that we are trying to do here at Didcot do relate directly to Brunel's activity, particularly, of course, the broad gauge work.
Leading the navvies is Dave Hartland.
We are the Taunton group of the Society, and we were lucky enough to find a large quantity of bridge rail track work at Burlescombe in Devon, and we've brought this up to Didcot, where we're now engaged in relaying it to Brunel's original ideas using longitudinal timbers and to his original broad gauge, 7 feet and 1/4 of an inch.
2, 3. Now, barring back under.
One of the most exciting things about railway preservation is its ability to involve just about everybody.
2, 3, hit.
We have a chemist, a teacher, a gentleman from the patents office, engineers, a town planner. We're working amongst friends from all over the country, and it's rather nice to see so many people getting together and enjoying themselves on one particular project.
If you're a plate layer, you must have a plate layer's hut to brew a good cup. So they built this one to approved Great Western design. Next on the agenda is building a replica broad gauge train. But first,
Hit up, chap.
they're all pure Great Western men in this society, with standards and so many plans. For years to come, their consorts and families will surely continue to take second place to this most seductive of man's mechanical creations, the steam locomotive, Great Western, of course.
Come all you young maidens, take a warning from me. Shun all engine drivers and their company. They'll tell you they love you and all kinds of lies, but the one that he loves is the train that he drives. He said, my dear Molly, oh, won't you be mine? Just give me the signal and let's clear the line. My fires are burning, the steam it is high. If you don't take the brake off, I think I shall die.
don't make engines like that anymore, do they? For all you thousands of railway enthusiasts, Didcot opens its doors on March the 5th and 6th, when Evening Star makes her final appearance before returning home to the National Railway Museum in York. Many of you very kindly send us photographs of the collections you write in about. Peter Emmons sent this picture of his hand-rolling cigarette papers. I'm amazed to learn they go back as far as 1760. And Peter should know because he's got 1,000 of them, and he'd like to meet anyone else who shares his interest. Your letter